and happy life together. Thus concludes the Korean drama, The Last Dance Is With Me. I spent 170 hours making this plot explanation. If you can, please give me a like and follow. Thank you all for watching. EMD no K-drama. See you in the next Korean drama.